Spreading the word again.
We're going to talk about gardening today.
Of weeds.
Of weeds and faith.
And faith.
Yeah.
We've been on a roll this morning, by the way, before the camera turned on. So this is exciting that we're already kind of muttering. Pastor Kass has been on a roll, people.
I don't miss out. That. I don't know a roll, but I'm excited about the gospel. I'm excited about Jesus, and I'm a disciple of his. And as a disciple of his, I listen to myself when I speak, knowing that the challenges face me as well as anybody else. It's challenging times. Talk of weeds and faith. Talk of gardening. I love gardening. I wish I could as much as I used to. My back won't let me bend much anymore. So I let my gardener do it, and he does about 1/10 of what I think he should be doing. But he's a good guy.
Yeah. Well, you got 80 homes in 12 minutes.
Well, that's true.
It's rough to show the love.
I've had him almost 30 years now.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. I hang on to people because I think each one has something special to offer.
Wow.
Right?
That must explain why I'm still here.
Well, you're there because it's been a meaningful new chapter in my life that you helped open.
It's funny. We were just talking about the first show was 9 months ago.
Is that right?
That's how.
9 months.
Yeah. We've almost been at this for a year.
Well, I appreciate what you've done to expose the contents of this book.
It's a great book, and it's a simple process. It's called Pointed Reflections. You point and reflect.
Yeah.
It's a process I can follow.
And I said, did I write that? Yes, you did. Okay, listen.
Well, this one was October 1980.
It's not too long ago.
This is right before my 49ers became Team of the Decade.
Yeah?
This is right about the time we got Bill Walsh's second year. And had Joe, and he was a couple years away from Jerry.
I remember those days. I also remember the days when they were giving away tickets and nobody wanted for free.
Yep. I remember even Kezar Stadium days.
Yeah.
Which is the tiniest little thing. It's great for concerts, but.
Yeah.
So the rumor has it you like gardening.
I do, and I have a family that loves gardening. My daughter has picked it up.
What is the allure? What is the draw? Is it meditational, or are we back to our Presbyterian?
Well, there is a lot of. I don't want to use lessons. It's too pedantic. There's a lot of exciting experiences one can have by growing a garden. And I've listened to the garden talk to me. And today I want to talk about the weeds, how the weeds have talked to me.
That's interesting because a recent sermon we heard talked about the three gardens in life, which is the Garden of Eden, the Garden of Gethsemane, and Paradise.
Paradise.
And it's really kind of interweaving with that garden concept, which seems to be very dominant in the Bible too.
And the word paradise is the word for garden.
Wow.
Yeah. Bardes, in Armenian, Bardes is a garden. Bardes is paradise, same word.
Wow.
So it began in a garden.
Surprised?
I have a sign in my garden given to me by my daughter, made of wrought iron. It says, it all began in a garden.
I love these things. We need more T-shirts.
Yeah, we should make a T-shirt with that. Well, the thing is, working in a garden, I have always had to contend with weeds.
Yes, they always happen.
Weeds. I just used some on my weeds growing in my driveway.
Okay.
It's interesting. After the rains of winter, in the beginning of spring, weeds beginning to grow where you never thought they would grow.
They're persistent little things, aren't they?
They're unbelievable. In a concrete slab, if there's one little crack, weed will grow in it.
It's amazing. Persistent, aren't they?
They are. And I thought about that. I've thought a lot about Bermuda grass.
Okay.
You know what that is?
I'm thinking somewhere along the line of crabgrass.
Yeah, crab is a bunch that grows. Bermuda, it shoots out a little side, what do you call it? And then it starts growing. It jumps. Before you know it, it has jumped 12 inches and is growing with new roots it puts down. And if you're not careful, I told my neighbor that I saw Bermuda grass growing. I said, take care of it now, because in 6 months you won't be able to take care of it. Sure enough, I didn't.
Denoting a metaphor here.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
6 months.
Yeah.
You'll never get rid of it.
Yeah. In 6 months. Well, he had a bush. It was growing in a side of the driveway. Began to grow in it. You can't get rid of it once it gets. So he had to get rid of the whole bush. And now what he's got there, he's got pebbles. Nothing but pebbles. Nothing will grow.
For me, I've seen a lot of people do the water-wise kind of, outside structuring, but I never understood why you would put rocks next to a window. For me, it just never made sense.
Yeah, rocks speak to you.
What?
Yeah.
How do the rocks speak to me?
They have shapes. I have on my desk a rock that I picked up. I think it was in Hawaii somewhere. It's a round rock with a hole in it.
Okay.
And I use it for hold my pen. It's a pen holder. You've got to have imagination.
That's very true.
You remember the era of the pet rocks?
Of course.
Well, what do you think they were doing?
Well, I guess talking to you.
They were first talking to the rock, and the rock was talking back to them. That's how I learned to talk with people.
I had one of those, by the way. I was very excited about it too.
Yeah, okay.
And then I got friends.
Okay.
This is what happens when you don't have a smartphone.
I like to pick up unusually looking rocks. I could tell this whole morning about the rocks I brought home to my garden from the desert, different colors, different shapes. Volcano.
Volcanic rock is very interesting.
Rock. I have one from not Death Valley. In Nevada. What's the town? That's the ghost town. Anyway, I picked up in the cemetery there a rock full of metal, and that's why the reds and browns and everything else.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're quite the geological.
I just pick them up, put them in my yard, and I go out. I know where I picked you up. So rocks speak to me.
Huh.
And I speak to the rocks. And there's a lot about rocks in the Bible,
Okay.
Of course. Jesus is called Rock of Ages.
Okay.
You've heard that song, Rock of Ages?
I have heard the song.
Cleft for me, let me hide myself in thee. When I was in Sinai, about 1995, on a trip to St. Catherine's Monastery, which is in the Sinai Desert at the base of Mount Sinai, where Moses, tradition says, received the 10 Commandments. And we slept on the sand at night. One night, we wanted to have an experience of sleeping in the desert. Sun all over, no trees, nothing, but there were rocks with big clefts in it, cracks in it. That's where the shade was. So we all went and found a big rock with a big crack on the side or a rift, and then we slept there. So I now understand. Let me hide myself in thee. Rock of ages, cleft for me.
Okay.
Let me hide myself in thee. That's the song. And
song or psalm?
Song, S-O-N-G.
I have to clarify nowadays.
S-O-N-G,
yeah,
song.
Thank you. Okay.
So the Bible has a lot about rocks, but I'm getting away. I want to get back to the garden.
Okay.
The garden is made of plants, essentially, not rocks.
Okay.
So I have developed a tremendous respect for weeds. Well, on the one hand, I too see to it that they stay out of my garden. I still think they are beautiful. You know why?
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 Well, the beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Well, okay. Because they teach me so much about life and the meaning of faith. They are silent messengers of God himself. Let me give you just a few reasons why.
Okay, I'm all ears.
You're all ears.
I'm all ears.
First of all, they have tremendous power.
Okay.
In my house in Fresno, we had a garden in the back with a rose garden, and the weeds had gotten into it, Bermuda grass. Try to get rid of them. My daughter and I, the one who has her own garden now, we'd out there, we'd pull out the weeds, in 2 weeks they'd be back. They have tremendous power. I gave up. Before you know it, the weeds were higher than the rose plants.
Yeah.
Okay, they have power. I respect that. And their power is phenomenal. They keep coming back. And I pray for that kind of stamina, creativity, and faith. Faith to keep coming back, even though I've been uprooted.
Okay, there it is.
You got it?
Yeah, I was waiting for the...
You got it.
Yeah, there it is.
Life throws, baseball language, throws a curve at you.
Correct.
But more realistically, life sinks a hoe into your neck. The gardener's hoe, trying to get rid of you.
Ah.
Well, it has happened to me a few times, but the strength of weeds have been given to me. And I pray will be given to you. I think you have it. I think Erica has it. To be a weed, to recognize you're a weed. That you're not popular. Right?
Oh, yeah, but...
Popularity...
we were never here to play a popularity game.
Well, but Americans play that game all the time.
Yeah.
They want popularity.
I'm a soldier. I'm not much for games.
Okay.
What I can tell you, though, is I understand persistence. I know we, where Erica's staying, we have this big backyard, and we cut down these Jurassic-size weeds.
Yeah.
We had to till the land. Like, we had to go in depth, and we exposed this beautiful crabapple tree. It's and the apples are amazing. And the crows think so as well.
Oh, of course.
And we had to stop watering it. Like, we had to stop on, extra attention, because as soon as there was anything out there, they took it. And we tried a million different ways to try and fix the situation, but...
So I say... I figure
at least if we're covering weeds, we can cover some birds.
And if you're standing out as a weed, don't feel sorry for yourself. Don't try to become a rose. God, make me a rose. I'm just a weed. No, you're going to stay a weed, but you're going to keep surviving.
Yes, but look what happens when you let the weed do what it wants to do.
What does it? It kills the rose.
No. It gets everything involved.
Okay. Yeah,
it mixes with everyone.
Okay, so...
There's no more class. There's no more...
Okay.
There's no more hierarchy. It's just people.
Yeah. Another characteristic of the weed is how little water it needs. My gosh, how little water it needs.
It's very true.
I also have observed that some plants, if you don't water them every week, they'll die. The pampered pansy. I call those pampered pansies. Seemingly no water at all, but they're growing. They grow. And what chance do we have? The weed doesn't have much chance, but it grows. It will grow anywhere and under all kinds of deadly influences.
Okay.
Christianity very often fed and overfed Christians very often fed and overfed still complain, we are not being fed. I've heard that as a pastor so often, it makes me sick.
Yeah?
We're not being fed. They're pampered Christians. I said, well, what did you do with the food you got yesterday? What did you do with all the studies we've done together, all the messages you've heard? What, have you grown? No, I want to be fed. Well, we can unravel what that means. It means
codependency.
Mommy, I like candy for breakfast. You're not giving me candy for breakfast.
Why?
Why?
Why can't I have it?
Because my teeth, after they rot, I'll get new ones.
Oh my goodness.
So I have great skepticism for people who come around saying I'm not being fed. You gravitate to where you think you're being fed. You find out after a while that was a cult of some sort. Okay?
Without the of some sort.
Oh, yeah. Well, there are different sorts of it. There are the extreme kinds we all know about.
Yes, they are the ones you can see from across the street.
They are non-extreme. And a key to identifying a cult is how human-centered they are. They centered their belief system on one essential person. And that person becomes their guru or their savior or their prophet or whatever. And before you know it, you're handing over your life savings, your life, your wife, whatever, to satisfy this insatiable person who's speaking to you in the name of God. America is full of it.
You know, we noticed that a lot of churches that are successful, it's not the church that's successful, it's the school that's successful and the church is there.
Okay.
And that seems to be a business model.
Well, it is.
That's running crazy right now.
And a school, again, there are all kinds of schools with the elimination of the Department of Education, the part of our present government, you're going to see government subsidy going to all kinds of private religious schools. And you're going to find proliferation now going on about all these, whether they're Christian or Jewish or Muslim, they're going to say it's our right, we want our piece of the pie. And America, as we've known it, is going to go. It's not going to be the America we've known. It's going to be America that caters to the most powerful and the most consistent and the most vociferous. I don't know. I have very big doubts about what's going to happen to us.
When I hear you conjugate Lucifer into Luciferous, I know.
Yeah?
I know that something's got your attention.
Okay.
It's very illuminating word usage.
I know. Okay. And I know what I'm doing. I know I'm saying
That's the best part.
I'm addressing.
Even if you take a left when I'm like, but aren't we supposed to be going this way?
Well,
it always comes right back to where it's supposed to come back to.
And the second question I have is, what did you do with the food you got yesterday? Did you put it in the refrigerator and it spoiled and you threw it out and put new one, or you fed not only yourself, your family, your friends, the world?
I think you're at, because I'm new, I think you're somewhere around give a man a fish versus teach a man to fish.
Okay. Well,
They should have been taking the word that they heard and spreading it with other people.
But people don't want that. People want to be given the fish. They don't want to learn how to fish. I am convinced that we have gotten so lazy that we want somebody else to feed us. Whether it's religious truth or spiritual truth or economic truth or political truth, we want
as long as somebody's spoon feeding us, we're happy.
And they feed us one day and they kill us the next. You just said, I'm losing weight by eliminating processed food.
That's where I'm at.
Okay.
You'll be able to see that on camera.
That was a big savior. They're gonna give us miracle foods. Right? That's what's happened.
That's why cancer is so prevalent in the world.
Another question I have is, how much food do you need to grow?
Overeating.
Overeating.
Spiritually overeating.
And I've noticed the more I eat, the more I want to eat.
I can see that.
And sugar, the more sugar I get, the more sugar I want to get.
Yep.
And I'm diabetic.
Yeah.
Okay. So the insidious part about our culture today is that they are giving us what they claim is what we really need, but it's poison. Now, another thing about weeds, I could go on and on. How much time do we have?
We got another 5-6 minutes.
Weeds are also beautiful.
Just for this episode.
Weeds are beautiful.
Weeds are beautiful. What?
What are the poppies? Beautiful California. Are they planted? No, they're weeds.
Really?
Yeah. You didn't know that, did you?
Didn't know that.
Oh, what is it? Wildflowers are weeds.
That's true. Okay.
The difference between a weed and a flower is that one is in your garden that you've planted versus one that God planted.
I thought it was one that looked nice and one that looked like it was getting ready for Halloween.
I've noticed.
Now I know.
In a garden, sometimes the tiniest flower, you put that under the microscope, it's a magnificent thing. The tiniest thing that the weed will give you. So it's just beautiful. And years ago when I was coming to the West with a friend, we stopped in Arizona somewhere, and we were among nothing but rocks. I don't know what we were looking at. And I saw a white flower growing in the cracks, and I photographed it.
Oh.
It's like the milkweed. Is it a milkweed in the...
Talking to the wrong person.
A beautiful white flower like a rose.
I was a soldier. That's the stuff I stepped on.
So it was beautiful because it was growing in the rocks, but it was a weed. So it is with the rest of nature. My neighbor, who's, God bless his memory, he's passed on to be with God, he used to say a rose is nothing but a weed. The rose is a weed, okay.
Wow.
It'll grow. Let alone it'll grow, but we pamper it.
Of course.
And
because we can improve it.
We carefully nurture.
There's a lot of metaphors running around right now.
And multiply the plants and flowers we want and call them beautiful. But that is exactly the point. A Christian is not chosen by man, but by God. That which is a reject for man is a chosen vessel for God. That's what Jesus was called, rejected by man, but chosen by God to be the Savior. He was a reject. We are anxiously trying to copy man's standards for beauty and success. And in the process, I'm afraid too often we are creating nothing better than hot houseplants.
I think I'm an expert at those too.
Which wither and die as soon as they are exposed to the heat and cold of the outside world. Not so the lowly weed. Okay.
Powerful little thing.
When all is said and done, it is the weeds which keep nature's balance and ultimately help us survive on this planet. Countryside, the mountainsides, the world, if you remove the weeds, what you got? Erosion. After the big fires, everything was gone. What happened? First rain that came, everything was swept. down the hill into the sea, poisoning the fish, killing the fish. So it is then that wild vegetation is, after all, the chosen and vital means of maintaining our human lives. No, I am not advocating wilderness or wildness and the lack of refinement and finesse in matters cultural and spiritual. I am saying that when God does his mysterious work of creation, some of us turn into roses and orchids, others into Bermuda grass
and milkweed.
That each thank God for what he is, for it is the last analysis. In the last analysis, the weed may play a much more essential role than the mighty rose. Happy gardening. That's a good excuse for me not going out in the garden doing anything.
The weeds create balance.
Yeah.
The weeds may have a bigger role than the rose. That's the only place I'm losing it.
Well, let's put it this way. Countryside is maintained, its stability and its future is maintained by what is growing there that's wild, right?
Okay.
It's not the humans and what they've planted, but it's what's been there for years. We're trying to save that from disappearing.
Right.
The forests, we did not plant them.
No.
They are, in a sense, weeds. So what I'm saying is that we've got to appreciate the place that we all have in this world.
So while there are a few roses and a few orchids, most of us are weeds and
But the weeds are beautiful in themselves.
They're beautiful.
All you have to do is focus. It's what I've done. I focused upon
it's another T-shirt.
See, I focused and watched it over the years, and I say that thing's beautiful.
Wow.
And there are weeds that will feed you as well. I used to watch the poor in our
sourgrass.
Well,
we used to pull the sourgrass off and chew on the stems.
Exactly, or the roots. Have you eaten the roots of the sourgrass? Very nutritious.
Wow.
We've done it. We used to go digging for the roots.
Of course.
We used to watch the poor in our neighborhood used to come around and pick dandelions. The leaves are edible.
Oh, wow.
Just like spinach. You boil it and, well, they couldn't afford to buy celery or whatever. They went.
That makes sense.
But the weeds were feeding them.
I have heard of dandelion salad in some upscale places too. So.
Yeah. And there are other weeds. Years ago, when I was growing up, we had weeds with thorns on the side. In our soccer field, we used to have to remove them so we could play soccer. They were called, later on in America, I found they were capers.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Caper bushes.
Wow.
The poor used to go and pick them, the ends, the very tender, and the little buds.
Uh-huh.
Ends up in your salad as a gourmet salad.
Gourmet.
They picked it for free and then sold it for 2 pennies or whatever. So nature feeds us.
Wow.
We've got to appreciate that. If we don't take care of nature, we are going to destroy ourselves. We know that. And I'm sorry that our present regime has reverted back to Neanderthal tactics of eliminating, we're back to burning coal now and or whatever.
That's very bad for the planet.
I know it is. So, of weeds and faith. I've shared some faith with you, and I've shared some weeds. There are weeds in my life that I've tried to eliminate that I can't. And I say, well, maybe God put it there for a reason.
And maybe it'll be beautiful.
And maybe it is beautiful.
Hallelujah.
So, have a good day.